Who is the best powerlifter on the planet? A lot of people give their answer without delineation between untested and drug-tested divisions. I think drug testing matters. Ashton Ruska is the #1 drug-tested powerlifter in 2020 out of all weight classes. All time, he's second only to Jesse Norris. Ashton is also only 24 years old, so in my opinion, he has potential to be the greatest of all time. I'll include a link in the description to his full recent meet on the YouTube channel Swolefessor. Ashton went for a 2,100 pound total on his third day.
Hey, yeah, how you doing? I am not no regular, my life is like a movie.
Alright, before we begin today's video, I have a really big announcement. For the first time in 9 years on this channel, I have a full-time sponsor. So that is Jacked Factory. You may have heard of them because they sponsor Chris Bumstead, who's 2 times Mr. Olympia in classic physique. And it's not gonna lie, it's pretty cool to be in the same category as someone like that. And also the thing that really earned my respect the most is that he recently came out with a line of products, and it was simply protein and pre-workout, and that's it. So actually doing this deal, what's really funny is I don't even take pre-workout currently. So I told them straight up, I'm like, look, protein, creatine, and protein bars will be what I could recommend right now, and then obviously try some other things. But I take coffee currently for actually different reasons, for telomere length, mortality studies, different things that I would say most YouTubers don't really care about. And they said that's fine. So that to me was incredible. So use the discount code Johnny, so that's JONNIE, for money off on Jacked Factory protein. That's what I'll include a link in the description to, and it really supports the channel. Like, this is going to be something that really will enable me to do more things like this. Traveling, meeting people, putting time into the channel that I otherwise simply couldn't. And overall, it's just a good deal. So, this is really the perfect situation for me. So without further ado, let's get into the video with the greatest drug-tested powerlifter on the planet, Ashton Ruska. There he is, the young goat. How are you feeling, sir? On this particular day, Ashton is working up to a high bar single. Now, I want to also be very clear that Ashton just competed 2 days ago from the time of recording this video. So he was able to squat 800 pounds, deadlift over 800 pounds, attempt nearly an 870 deadlift, and then get this workout in with me on the Monday after. I'm very glad that he was both willing to do that, and we're still able to go pretty hard, as you'll see here. It's always awesome to be around people who flat out work really hard. So by the way, as I have not even asked you, is what weight are you going to use for the single? So to be clear, Ashton's doing 1 single, right? And that's it. You already have enough muscle mass. You don't need more. You're calling it there. But what weight are you thinking?
Gotta see how 606 feels.
606?
We'll see. If it's good, then I'll go up to 716. If not, then...
Damn, 716. So that's the either or? 100 pounds. That's what I'm talking about. I have one quick question for you, Ashton.
Shoot.
Is how will you know if you should go 606 or 7+? What is the moment where you make that decision? Is it the last warm-up or before?
Yeah, so I'm going 606 for sure.
Okay.
But then, depending on how that moves, we'll see if
okay.
To 717.
So how much you smoke? Now, how do you even judge something like that when it's such a low RP regardless? Because regardless, that's like RP2. Fitting for the informative video I made not too long ago.
Fair.
Yeah.
But I would say that even though 606 isn't necessarily a large percentage of my max, it's still a pretty heavy objective load.
Okay.
So when I'm lifting that much weight, I'll know if I'm on or not.
Okay. So you know by feel?
Yeah. I'm confused when they watch me because a lot of times, a lot of my warm-up sets are really slower, significantly slower than a lot of my top sets. Like my last warm-up in training, oftentimes if I jump to 782, it's going to be 772. And I can almost guarantee, like 80% of the time plus, it's going to move slower than 782.
Slower, yeah.
It will move slower.
And what we said off camera is you don't base your target totally on RPE. So it's based on an in-between feel thing. And you would say, so between RPE, bar speed, and feel, it's just kind of all of the above?
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting.
I'll usually have an idea of range of what I want to hit, like going in, and it may be based off of 8%.
So today you might hit 606, you might hit 644, and you might hit 700 plus.
Maybe.
That's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, we'll see. As you can see here, Ashton is squatting 500 pounds like it ain't nothing. Because to him, 500 pounds is as meaningless as fiat currency will be 10 years from now. But he is going to take this and then go all the way up to 606. And he's only doing 1 rep per set. That's a very interesting thing to see. Someone that strong, basically has to take huge jumps given lighter weight or lighter percentages are still heavy absolute weight. So it's still pretty fatiguing. That is definitely something that he plays around with very carefully. And he also squats extremely deep, which actually the interesting thing is I'm squatting pretty high, but I have a tendency to squat too deep in training, whereas Ashton has recently fixed his depth issues. So we're both reacting in opposite directions. But let's see the judgment on if he's going to go up from 606. All right, so what's the judgment on it so far?
Huh?
What's the judgment on that so far?
I can do it.
You going up?
Maybe.
Okay, as far as my workout, I'm doing beltless, sleeveless, paused squats. And the reason for this is because I was able to hit 510 pounds with no belt, no sleeves as I came back from my hamstring injury, and it moved well. So I'm going to use this in the background as a bridge, as a distant variation, then also have my belted and sleeved work and work up to a 570 pound single and a goal of hitting 405 for 17 reps. That will be very exciting. So as you can see here, Ashton's telling me what steroids he uses, which is pretty interesting. But no, let me be very clear, that was a joke. I am not being serious. But Ashton and I actually do have a lot of really good discussions, which we will get to in the interview, and honestly, even in future videos, since we are friends, as well as the Swolefessor, who's his coach. All three of us have very blunt conversations, and Ashton's a very smart guy, too. So it's like we'll be very blunt in our biases, and potential biases, though, that an audience who perhaps doesn't know of certain people in genetic ceilings, which nobody really knows. And just having a blunt discussion on that, while also respecting the fact that I will never say I know for sure someone's natural because I'm not them. It's just limited information. Let's get it. Up, 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 up. Yeah. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So yeah, that was awesome. That was Ashton Ruska hitting a high bar 1 rep PR on my channel. Exclusive content. I don't believe he posted on Instagram or anything like that. Now he is in a fatigued state, so there was a time where he hit a triple with, I would say, a significantly higher projected 1 rep max. But this is the heaviest weight he's actually hit for 1 rep on his back, on his traps. And again, for a powerlifter who competes primarily low bar all the time, that is a huge squat. And he can squat 800 plus low bar. And again, this is really on any given day he can do this. Take a look at how much respect Ashton gives his warm-ups with holding that weight at the top, instilling good habits. This is something that everybody should emulate. How heavy is this? 424. Is this your minimum single, or is this going to just be the actual single? This is it? All right, let's get it. So as he said, he's going to bench 424 pounds here. This is, quite a big bench to handle just right after a meet, just for the fun of it. We will talk in the interview. He's had actually a pec injury a while back, which kind of held back his bench. And that's the one lift I think he's refining the most. There you go. Good. There you go. You got me nervous there for a second. I was like, yeah, you're ready just in case? Yeah, speaking of benches, of course mine is not going extremely well right now. But one major tip I have for you guys is if you are in a time period where you reduce frequency, it's not going to go super well, this is the time for a reverse pyramid. So that's what I did here is I just kept adding 2.5 chips as far as kilos, and worked up to 314 double that moved pretty well. Moved about what I would want, 7.5 RPE I would say. In my opinion, a lot of people hammer themselves with straight sets when a lift is off because they don't feel like they've earned a top set. but then you become, kind of beaten down by that monotony. And again, top sets may not work because you also get nervous for it. So like I said, reverse pyramids really are a perfect middle ground, in my opinion. It's where you can only exceed your expectations since you know you're fatigued. But yeah, you can see here, Ashton and I are having a little bit of a flex off. I think he has a little bit more lean body mass than I do. But we will talk about the whole idea of drug tested doesn't mean drug free and all of these other criticisms, ideas, and some points are valid, I think we're both very reasonable guys, and I think you guys will love our interview coming later on this channel. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see that, because this is really exciting to me, to be able to fully show someone who is an incredible talent who doesn't get the recognition they deserve. So significant percentage of my audience doesn't believe you're natural. Just flat out thinks you're a liar. Even some people, well, I'm sure you've seen comments all the time where people go, hey, I respect him, he's really strong, he seems like a good guy, but then they fully assume you're a liar still, which seems like a very big contradiction.
What I would say to them:
the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who comes short again and again,